hope that the translation is good enough that I understand everything. It's like, hey, this is not funny, but it's, I think you have to do mostly.
Any advice or someone who wants to be a mangaka in Japan?
Don't do it. Konnichiwa, Juan Albarran desu. Matagi Gunner no Mangaka desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Perfecto.
Normalmente yo desayuno un vaso de leche, una tostada con queso y yogur. Ya está.
Más o menos, ¿qué hora?
A las 7:30. Intento siempre empezar a trabajar a las 8.
En Japón, ¿qué es como horario de un día?
To me, a normal day is a little bit like a salaryman working schedule. I've been told, like usually mangaka work at night, from what I know, but I don't do that. I get up in the morning at 7, have breakfast, and start working at 8, usually until 11. Then go to the gym. So usually I never work at night. I have never done an all-nighter. Like I've never spent all night working, never. I usually on Saturday and Sunday, I take out an afternoon off. I just go out and go to the movies or enjoy the city or something like that. But usually it's manga all day, every day basically, yeah.
So what title, what manga do you read?
Right now I'm reading 2 manga at the same time. I usually try to read 1 manga for pleasure and 1 to learn something. With Matagi Gunner, I always felt that I needed to be able to draw fights better. So I decided to start reading One Piece. You know, it's a good example of manga that does fights really well. And then I started reading Isaac. The reason why I started reading it is because for some reason I wanted to read like a historical manga. Really enjoying it now. So I usually read a little bit of One Piece, a little bit of Isaac now, and then usually fall asleep.
Entre Fujimoto-san y Kodansha.
Well, to me that was a little bit of a surprise when I started working for Japan, because in America, writer and the person that does the art are in constant communication. They are usually in the same chain of email chains with the editors. So it's like more of a collaboration or partnership. Here it's completely separate. Like when I get the storyboard, the memo from Fujimoto-san, it's already finished. It's already, everything is discussed. I get all the references from him and the editors, and then I do the work. And I know he sees the work because when I send it to my editors, he gives feedback and changes and things to improve. But I really don't have a day-to-day relationship or contact with Fujimoto-san, which in a way, it makes things easier sometimes because deadlines are so tight and so close that things are easier if I just get everything, the story done, and I just have to draw it. Como lo hago, ¿no?
¿Quieres ser como? Sí, quieres ser como
manga. That is probably the most difficult part of the work that I do. I don't speak Japanese. I cannot read Japanese. I'm studying, but it takes forever. So basically what I do is I get the text from the Nemo and all emails from my editors, and I just run them through a website translation and hope that the translation is good enough that I understand everything. So far it is. It's not perfect. But sometimes it's caused me to get in misunderstandings. Like sometimes I misunderstand the intention of a character when they say something, and I draw a facial expression that's different than what it should be. And that happens a lot. Or sometimes there's humor. There's a lot of humor in Matagi Gunner, so sometimes I don't get the joke. Or I have to call my editors like, hey, this is not funny. And then they explain it to me. It's like, oh, yeah, it is funny. I just didn't understand it. Or sometimes it's just a Japanese idiom or a Japanese common thing that I don't know about. Just because of the language barrier, it makes it even more difficult. So I spend a lot of time with the translation, with the translator software. Every time that I get an email, every time that I get communication, that I get a contract, that I get anything like that, has to be translated. And it makes things obviously more difficult. But it's also part of the challenge. I think one of the reasons why I'm able to work for Japan is that I have the type of personality that I see a difficulty. And instead of saying, I'm not going to do that, I think, how can I do the quote unquote impossible? In Japan, there are so many amazing mangakas that until now, Japan doesn't have the need to go outside of Japan to look for mangakas. But there are a lot of agents in the West, in Spain, Brazil, there's Italy, that they speak English and they are the link in between the publisher and the mangaka that don't speak English. So they take like a percentage of the profit. But you know, if Japanese publishers, Kodansha, Morning, or any other magazines start to go outside, I think sooner or later that figure of the agent that helps to link between publisher and mangaka outside of Japan, I think they will appear.
Yes. Entonces, como experiencia de manga o...
I remember I was 5, 6 years old and I was already drawing at home, drawing manga. I just kept drawing through my teens when I was a teenager, and basically at some point I decided that I wanted to become a mangaka. And they say that my parents are very conservative. So they say, no, you need to get a nice degree, something that allows you to make money. And if you want to become a mangaka later, you can try it, but at least you have, you know, a plan B, so to speak. And I didn't read or draw manga for 10 years. And then one day I said, I kind of missed it. And I was very miserable as a salaryman. So I decided that my only way to get out of that life was to try to become a professional mangaka. But I was 32 or 30 at that time. And so I decided to work during the week and go to art school during the weekend in Spain. And in the second year, I actually got a job as an inker for DC Comics, which is really, I got really lucky. And that was very helpful and eventually got me to a career inking comics for DC Comics, which lasted 7 years in Spain. So I was living in Spain. Yes. Oh. Yes. So I lasted 7 years. But soon I realized that inking as a profession, it's like most artists actually do the inking. So I decided that I was going to get away from inking because it had no future and try to draw my own manga. I tried the impossible and tried to go for Japan. I thought drawing manga was impossible, but I thought that maybe as an assistant, I would be able to at least make money and learn how the Japanese system works. So I found by chance this website that Ganmo, which is a website for assistants to offer your services and get jobs. Right away, I found work there. And then I started working for more mangaka. One of them, Sato Masamichi, who eventually recommended me to my editors for Matagi Gunner. And while I was doing that, I got an email from my editors offering me Matagi Gunner, and that's how it happened.
一回ジムに行きます。
恥ずかしい。
恥ずかしいらしいです。ジムでトレーニングすると。¿Estás cansado, verdad? Es que como haces...
Yo lo hago cada día.
¿Sí? Cada día. Qué bien.
Bueno, pues esto es escrito aquí, Me preguntabas, ¿qué tipo de ciudad? Pues muy normal.
Muy normal. Muy tranquilo.
Sí, muy tranquilo.
¿Cuánto tiempo llevas como estudiando japonés?
Started studying about 7 years ago, because I've always been interested in Japanese culture. But every time that I tried to learn, I gave up because it was too difficult. I never understood. And then when I decided, about 3 years ago, when I decided that I was moving to Japan from Spain, I found this online course that I could do like live lesson with in a group class. So I started doing that.
Can you use hiragana already?
Yes.
Oh. So only problem is only kanji.
No, problem is Japanese. It's okay. I can read hiragana, katakana. I'm not like really fast, but I can read. And kanji, I'm learning little by little, but my main concern now is grammar. Yeah. How to do the past in verbs, how to do adjectives in the past, and also learn new words. A lot of times.
Grammar. 文法。語形がどうとか、結構それは難しいっていう話でした。
Japan to me is the best place, the best market, the best country to draw comics. Nowhere the mangaka is more respected as we are here. So my goal is to continue to work in Japan. And the goal is to do my own story if possible. But before that, of course, we have to work on Matagi Gunner and for as long as it lasts. But in the future, I hope that I'm like 60 or 70 and I look back and I see that I worked 20 years or 30 years in Japan making comics. That would be my ultimate goal. No option. I have no other option.
There's no option.
It motivates me a lot to see that I have a future where the potential to be respected, to be well known, to have my work read by so many people, to make money. So much more than I ever had before. Like when I was in Europe, I was living in Spain or America, I would tell people, oh, I make comics. Sometimes they would say like, oh, I thought computers make that, you know, or really? Do people still make those? Like, comics is a niche hobby that very few people read. Only America is so big that it still makes money. But Europe, like, I don't know, when I would tell people, I make manga. How? Why? How do you get paid for that? How much do you make? Like, is that even possible as a living? 2 years ago, I didn't know it was possible to work as a mangaka here, so I'm still a little bit in shock and surprised that I managed to do it. But here in Japan, there are so many types of manga that my options as to kind of stories that I could draw or write in the future, it's really exciting. In America, if you want to really make money, I think you have to do mostly superheroes. That's it. Here, you can write a manga about anything. It can become a hit. It doesn't really matter. It can be about cooking. It could be Space Brothers, about two brothers that go to space.
Do you have any advice or commentary about someone who wants to be a mangaka in Japan?
Don't do it. No, that's not true. My advice is to be ready for manga to take over your life. Like if you end up in a situation like mine where you have to work in a weekly magazine, you have to draw 50 or 60 pages every month. That is a lot of work. And you have to be ready to basically give up on anything. Like if you enjoy your Netflix series, if you enjoy to go to the movies every two, 3 times a day, if you enjoy going out with your friends, maybe you have to quit many of those things when you become a mangaka for Japan. And also, the last advice I think I would give is research. I get a lot of messages asking, how can I get my work? Like, you can do what I did, which is go online and look for the magazines. All the information is online. And see what genre they are. It's shonen, seinen, shoujo. You have to learn about all that. You have to know about that market. What are they looking for? Who find websites in Japanese and translate them? And, you know, all these kinds of things. So, one thing I found is that when I would send my work, my one-shots to publishers, everybody reacted with curiosity. Somebody from outside of Japan, what is this? I want to know, because maybe you have a different way of doing things that what we're used here in Japan. We, people, mangaka from outside of Japan, we have to take advantage of that. It's a great opportunity. But unless you get your work and send it to them, they are not going to see it. So action, take action, go. Draw your manga, translate it to Japanese, find the magazines, send the work, and then maybe you have a chance.
Keep trying.
Keep trying.
Keep trying. So, please some comments
about Tankobon 7.
Yeah, 7. And future of Matagi Gunner. Yeah.
To me, Tankobon 7 is a very important Tankobon because there's a big change. The story, until now, has been happening in Japan. Yamano's been in Japan. So now we're going to the World Championships. My selling point for Tankobon 7 that it's the first time, one of the first times that everything we've seen so far actually changes completely.
かけでお知り合いになったというか。
フラッとお客さんで奥様と一緒に来られたのが初めなんですけど、漫画家なんですって言われてて、いやでもこんな近くでね書かれてるんでやっぱり応援したいなっていうのがあって、
全部最新刊まであそこにありがとうございます。
全部書いてくれてるんですよ。
めちゃくちゃちゃんと書いてある。メニュー版にもこれこれが。
Oh, he draws this. He draws this.
紹介もしてくださってるというか、他のお客さんにこれ書いてるんですよって言って、ありがとうございます。
いやいやいや。
じゃあビールを頼んでください。もうありがとうございます。すごいいろいろコメントを見ててね。
乾杯。
乾杯。
お疲れ様です。
お疲れ様です。
なんかすごい美味しい。
美味しい。
Thank you for coming.
ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。
バイ。
バイ、チャオチャオ。